be the biggest mistake I've ever committed to. Can I read the 10 best fantasy nominees from the Goodreads Choice Award in the next 5.5 days? These books are chunky. I don't know if I can do it. Okay, I was going through the Goodreads Choice nominees for the second round of voting, and I realized that Best in Fantasy, I own every single book on the list. So here I have grabbed all 10 of them, and I thought, you know, maybe I can read the 8 that I haven't read already. So far I have read Hellbent, which is the sequel to Ninth House. It was a pretty good time. Didn't love it, didn't hate it. Definitely continued with the Dark Academia vibes. I was definitely more on board this time than the first time I read Ninth House, and it continued in a good way. No hate, feeling pretty good about it. Not a favorite though. High 3 stars, low 4 stars kind of range. Might be better with the second read of both books. And then the only other book that I've read so far is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This is a standalone book in the Cosmere world that theoretically you should be able to read without having to read anything else. I do think there are hints of some other things. I haven't read them, so I don't know too much about it, but it is meant to be a standalone. It was very enjoyable. It's inspired by The Princess Bride, the old movie, and we have our main character whose love ends up getting taken and she decides to go on an adventure and save him. There's a lot of fun elements. This is favorite book territory. Like, this is a good time. It's cozy, even though it does have some higher stakes. It just has this feel-good, lighthearted feel to it that I really, really enjoyed. So definitely up there for me. And then the rest of these, I have no clue. I really don't know. So we are going to go through them all and I will give you my thoughts, rank them, and then hopefully finish it in time for me to do a legit vote of the 10 finalists for the 2023 Best Fantasy Goodreads Choice Awards. That's a mouthful. I'm regretting this and I haven't even started yet. Today's a busy day. I won't be able to get that much reading done. Your girl's got a problem, but I'm excited. Okay. 1 down, 7 more to go. I just finished Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which we have a English lady in, I would assume, the past. It feels like this is, you know, Victorian era, sort of, maybe, who knows. We have her as a scientist on a expedition to find information about fairies for her encyclopedia. And she ends up getting partnered with another scientist that drives her a little bit up the walls and gets pulled into some fairy shenanigans. And it's a fun time. I ended up enjoying this. I found myself smiling. Like, everything was wrapped up within the story. There's not like a big cliffhanger or anything, but I do want to continue the world of these characters. Yeah, that's where we're currently at. Now, because it is day 1 of the 6 days of me trying to read way too much, I am disappointed that I was only able to finish 1 book, and it's one of the smaller books of the bunch. I want to start the next one, but I am so tired. Today obviously was a bit of a doozy. I had several appointments. I went to go check on Kiwi. Kiwi's doing well, but it does seem like she is starting to go blind, which I knew, but getting the official yes, it seems like that's what's happening, is still kind of hard to take. Like, even though it's been kind of obvious for a while, she can see, but there are some things that she struggles with seeing, which is sad. And then I had a lot of work stuff, lots of meetings, lots of tasks that I had to kind of deal with, just a lot of work stuff. And then I also had a doctor's appointment and I went to go get some meds refilled, some prescription refills, which, after going through all the trouble of doing that and rushing back so that I can go to my next meetings and doing all of this, I found out that they only gave me 1 of my prescriptions, and so I'm gonna have to go back again, which is kind of annoying. other than that, the day was pretty successful. I just was not able to read nearly as much as I would like, and I am so tired at this point that I do not see myself picking up another book, even though that would be the smart thing to do. So we're off to a great start. One book. Anyway, I am falling asleep at this point, so I will give you an update tomorrow after I start the next book. Okay, so it is pretty late and I have updates. So I have finished The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. I really enjoyed this quite a bit, and I'm excited to continue with the series. This follows a older woman with a 10-year-old daughter who is brought back into the pirating life and experiences a bunch of fantastical things while on this unexpected journey, leading her back to the life that she has a love for, even though she was kind of sworn away from it. And there are some fun characters. I really like her, Amina specifically. Love her. Love that we have an older character as our main character. Loved a lot of the culture that we get little tastes of. Loved the fantasy elements. It was a fun time. I imagine the future books in the series will probably give us more information on the crew, since I don't feel like we got a lot in this book, or at least not as much as I would have liked. And yet I'm also glad that we didn't, because I feel like this book could have easily been super convoluted with all of the different things that it was trying to do. But since it was so laser focused, I felt like it was really easy to follow along and keep up with what was going on. So really appreciate that. That does mean that at the end of Wednesday, we have 4 books completed. 2 that I finished before this challenge, 2 that I finished during this challenge. I'm not feeling great about this challenge. Like, I imagine I'm gonna make a lot of progress on Saturday, but I don't actually know if I have time on Sunday to read things, since that is the final day. So I'm kind of trying to finish everything by Saturday so I can start voting. I figured it might be fun to do ranking as we go along. I have enjoyed all of these books so far, and if I move Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson to the top, I feel like this is my current ranking for what I've currently read. I feel like The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi can jump up once I get more of this series. So this has the potential to go up in rankings. Same with Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I have started Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, and so far we're in the setup stages. I haven't for any of these really read the synopsis beforehand, so I'm kind of just going in blind and seeing how things take me. Right now we have an orphaned kid who is brought into the palace to pretend to be the prince, because I guess he looks like the prince. I'm assuming, because we haven't gotten much farther than that, that there's going to be issues, adventures, and all kinds of things that come from that. I also kind of feel like we're probably going to get a time jump, because right now I think both of them are kids, but I don't know. I literally only just started it. I did want to try and get like 50% done tonight, but I am so tired. Well, that seems like a theme, doesn't it? Work has been very hectic, and I still have work that I have to do, but all I want to do is curl up in a ball and take a nap. I guess not take a nap because it's late, but go to bed. And yeah, so because of that, I don't imagine I'm gonna make a ton of progress, but we'll see. We will see where we go. I don't have much thoughts on the book itself yet. Okay, so I have updates for you. Today is Thursday and the workday is technically over, but it is a hectic week, so I will probably be working a little bit after. My coworker mentioned that this is like my Velma look, and now I can't unsee it. I did manage to finish the next book, Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in a series, And I will admit, at the beginning, I wasn't really interested in any of the characters or what was going on, but as most fantasies, the longer I stuck around and the more I learned about what was going on, the more interested I got into it. We have a prince and his sword catcher who is an orphan boy who was brought in to basically stand in place of the prince, along with another character who is a female physician who is part of I guess like a magical race that is separate from the city. There's both a lot going on and not too much at the same time. I do feel like the book did a fairly good job of limiting the cast so it was easier to follow, but there were still a decent amount of characters kind of thrown at you that you did have to keep track of. I am very excited to continue this series. My feeling of the book will change once I get further into the series, because right now it just really feels like a setup. It feels like I didn't finish anything. It's a little bit disappointing in that way. Nothing was really resolved. It was all kind of just set up. So because of that, I'm definitely putting that towards the bottom. I'm actually not sure if I want to put it above Hellbent or below Hellbent, because right now I feel like it's more like this, but it has the potential to be like this depending on how the series continues, because I do like Hellbent, so all of this is great in general. It does mean that I am having a good reading experience so far. I am currently reading Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. I'm like 70% into this and I am enjoying it. It definitely took me longer to get into this than I did Legends and Lattes. This one has the same character and it takes place before what happens in Legends and Lattes, which is working out fine, but did kind of feel like a little bit of a bummer because you know where things go later. And since there are, you know, relationships being formed as our main character has injured herself and is forced to stay at an inn and recover and is meeting all of these different people and bonding and creating these relationships, it's almost hard to really care about the relationships in here, even though they are fun and enjoyable in a similar way to Legends and Lattes, but not quite there yet. There is a character that we do have that I'm totally loving. I am excited to kind of see where things go, so I am having a good time. I think in the next 2 days I can finish these 4 books if I'm focused. I also have to find some time to edit my 13 Haunting Reads video because that was supposed to go out a really long time ago, and I feel like the last opportunity for me to get that out would be this Friday, which means that I have to do some editing tonight and tomorrow, which is gonna be hard to do with all of the reading that I'm trying to also do. Good morning. I finished Swordcatcher and Bookshops and Bone Dust, all good. And then after that, I started Fragile Threads of Power, got like a paragraph into it, was all like, wait, we need to read A Conjuring of Light, the 3rd book in the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy before we continue the Fragile Threads of Power. So that's on hold. So I started reading Starling House last night, got like 28 pages into it. I am enjoying it. But this morning I ended up picking up A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, and I have been making progress through that and trying to see if I can make a big dent in the books that I need to read over the next 2 days. We'll see. Okay, so we have hit a little bit of a snafu. I am 515 pages into A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, and I am enjoying this book. But there is so much going on. Like, just so much. The mental capacity required just to follow along is more than I want to have to deal with right now. Like, it's just so much brain power. We have multiple kingdoms. We have multiple princesses. We have multiple kings. We have multiple priory warriors. There's just so many people to consider. Not everything. I'm really bad with names, so it's even harder for me than somebody who actually knows people by their names, because I don't feel like we're spending enough time with each character and that they have a distinct enough personality for me to easily be able to distinct them on context clues alone. So it's a struggle. Even with all of the notes that I'm taking, it's still pretty overwhelming. But we'll see if I can get through it anyway. Okay, update times. So, it is Friday night. I did take a couple of breaks throughout the day, obviously, so that I could work and so that I could work out and then spend some time with family for dinner. And so I have not been able to finish A Day of Fallen Night. I still have a good chunk left to go. It is very brain heavy and I do not have the capacity anymore after such a long day. So I'm thinking I'm gonna switch back to Starling House. Hopefully I can finish this tonight. And this is where the delusions start kicking in. There's not a ton of time left, in all honesty, so I'm a little bit nervous because then I still have these 3 books that I'm trying to read tomorrow, plus the remainder of this. Oh my goodness. I am not feeling confident. If all I have left is a couple hours tonight and then tomorrow, it doesn't seem possible. Actually, you know what? Hold that thought. I'm gonna go check right now because I'm starting to stress, and we're not supposed to stress. This is supposed to be fun times. Good news. I have all of tomorrow and all of Sunday. So, whoo, we got this. We got this. I think I'm gonna give my brain a little bit of a break. I'm gonna hop in the shower since it's much needed after my workout. And then I'm gonna chillax. I'm gonna relax a little bit and maybe continue Starling House or even start A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. I'm still gonna try and get a lot done tomorrow. Like, I want to basically finish everything tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna be at least a book short. I don't think I can finish all of them. We'll see. We'll see. I thought I was gonna be able to finish 2 books today. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. I also don't think I'm gonna have the energy to redo my hair, so that's kind of a bummer. Because I really want to wash it as well. So I'm probably going to be, messy bunning it for the next couple of days. I'm not gonna have the time until after this friggin' challenge. That being said, I am still enjoying the challenge, don't worry. I'm just really tired right now. Meow. Meow. Come here. Obviously you want some attention. Come here. Say hi to the people. I'm gonna have cat hair all over my lip. Kind of gross. Okay, hi, hello. It is Saturday. It is 10:23, which is not a great time, honestly, for me to have only completed 1 book, but I really enjoyed this, like a lot. I enjoyed this. Actually, let's do our ranking, because I think Starling House has beat out a bunch of books for me. I loved it. Yeah, that was a fun time. Now, as I keep saying, several of the books may go up or down in ranking depending on how the series continues, but we're not going to see that here because most of those don't have the continuation of the series anyway. For now, we are going to continue Samantha Shannon's A Day of Fallen Night. I should be able to finish this in like 3 or less hours, hopefully, and then I can start the next book. I think, mentioned that I am technically enjoying this despite how kind of difficult it is. It's not my favorite experience because it's very mentally tiring trying to keep up with all of the things going on. I did discover very late into the game that there is a very comprehensive lists and glossary in the back to give you information about the different characters. I think it's to help you understand what's going on. I just do kind of wish stuff like that was at the beginning so that I knew, oh, I can reference this throughout, you know? I only have like 100 pages left of this, so I'm pretty close to finishing this. So this hopefully shouldn't take too long. And I think my brain is open enough that I could just hunker down and focus on this for the next couple of hours. Okay, I did it. I have completed A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. I did enjoy this quite a bit, but I feel like I would benefit from a second read of it in the future with a much slower pace, and then hopefully read both of the books back to back so that I can really connect all of the dots and the pieces. I'm technically putting it beneath Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies because I feel like Emily Wilde's and the Adventure of Amina Sarafi still have the potential to be even more like, depending on how the series continue. And I also seem to personally prefer stories with a smaller focus. Like, I just want a small group of characters to care for, to root for, and to learn about versus like a massive cast. And although I do think this was done well, and I'm excited to reread it in the future and really appreciate everything that it did, it wasn't my favorite reading experience. So that's where we stand so far. It is currently 1 o'clock. I just made myself some more coffee with some chia seeds in it because I'm a weirdo and I love it. My sugar coffee, it's technically the hazelnut cappuccino, and then I add some chia seeds, and it's got a texture that I like. I like it. I like it a lot. Don't at me. But now we're going to start the next book, which would be A Conjuring of Light, which is the third in the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. But part of me is also thinking that maybe I might do a little reading of The Unmaking of June Farrow. I know nothing about this book, so I'm interested in seeing what's up. Okay, hi, good morning. It is Sunday, December 3rd. It is our last day to finish everything, and I have some updates. So first off, I ended up finishing A Conjuring of Light, which technically isn't part of the 10 books that I have to read for the Goodreads Choice Fantasy section, but I did want to read this before I picked up The Fragile Threads of Power, since they do take place in the same world, and this was the last book of the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy that I needed to read. So just completed the trilogy, ended up enjoying it. Third book's definitely my favorite in the series. Good stuff. Then I decided to continue The Unmaking of June Farrow because I wanted a kind of easy win, something that I could finish relatively quickly. And this one, I was a little bit annoyed at first by lack of communication, information going on, because we have a character who ends up in another area and people are mad at her and she doesn't know why, and she's trying to figure all of these things out. And I couldn't help but just be like, oh, it's so stupid that they did this. But there's reasons for things, and as we're uncovering the mysteries and what happened and what's going on, it's satisfying, and I ended up really, really, really liking it. Like, a lot. Like, maybe that much. We have moved that into second place. Trust of the Emerald Sea is staying on top. I don't think that's gonna change. Now I am about to start the final book, which I think is gonna take me the rest of the day. It is basically noon now, and I think it's gonna take me about 8-ish hours to complete this because it is another chunker. This is the Fragile Threads of Power. I don't know anything about this except that it's in the same world as A Darker Shade of Magic. I really need to do my hair, but I don't have the time. I didn't have the time. So it's a mess. It is what it is. One more book to go. One more book to go. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing once I finish. Like, I do have a fairly long TBR, and I am hoping to friggin' do the December TBR game. I was originally going to have a completely new TBR game for 2024, but that's not happening. It's not. We're not even close to that. So I think it's just going to be another year of the same old, but I enjoy my TBR game, so I guess I ain't mad at it. So, I am currently reading The Fragile Threads of Power. There is absolutely no doubt at this point that this is a continuation of the story here in the world here after the events of what happens in this trilogy. So, like, this trilogy's over, and then years later, now we have a whole nother story with the same cast, some new characters, and some different things going on. But it's just a continuation. So, I do recommend reading the trilogy first if you have any interest in it. Hi, hello. Okay. I'm thinking of soft DNFing it. I just don't care right now. Like, I don't care. I did enjoy the original trilogy. I struggled with the second book, and I'm feeling that way about this book, right? Like, this wasn't my favorite. I didn't care. It kind of put me in a reading slump. I did like the first one, but the second time around was kind of meh. And I loved the third. But I'm feeling meh about this. And I will probably read it in the future, especially because I imagine I'll get the next book in whatever series this is. And when that comes out, maybe I'll finish this. But I just don't care right now. I want a break. I don't want to read anything else today. I'm over it. I like the characters, and I know I'll get into it at some point, but on its own, there's nothing keeping me there except for my existing interest in the characters and a existing desire to know what's going on. The book isn't doing that. So this will be at the bottom for me. And yeah, that has been my experience. I am sad that I technically failed, but I did, in place of this last book that I didn't read, I ended up reading A Conjuring of Light and loved it. I loved it. This was great. Favorite of the trilogy. This definitely isn't my favorite of V.E. Schwab's. Yeah, so that's where we're at. I hope you enjoyed this. I can't believe I was kind of successful in doing this. I did officially vote for Tress of the Emerald Sea, which I feel kind of bad since this was my winner before reading all of these, so I didn't have to read all of them to change my opinion. But yeah, I read the best one earlier in the year, but I did technically have a good time with all of these. Even with the one that I didn't finish, part of it is just me being burnt out. Part of it is because it is kind of boring, like the setup. Nothing interesting has happened in the first like 30% of the book. So yeah, we're gonna put that on hold until I'm ready for it, right? Until I'm in the mood again to enjoy the world and get further into it. If you made it this far, include some sort of green flower emoji, and I will catch you in the next video. Until then, bye!